Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tea Time Crochet. Today we're going to make this little bag. You can actually take this pattern and do any size bag that you want. Working off of that corner square that I showed you a couple weeks ago. I know this yarn's a little busy, but I'm not doing the tutorial in this yarn. I have a different plain colored yarn, so don't worry about that. The only thing that I am doing in a darker color is the seam and then the handle, but I think you should be able to see fine. That's pretty, self-explanatory, but I think it's really cute, and it's just a nice little bag. You could use this pattern to make purses. You could use it to make little project bags, which is what mine's for. It would be really cute if you made little smaller ones for like little girls. I know my daughter, would really think that would be cute. But like I said, it's a versatile pattern. You can make it in any size that you want, and I, will explain how to make, the handles different and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the tutorial now. Okay, so the things that you're going to need are you're going to need probably 1 skein of worsted weight yarn. I'm using Red Heart Super Saver in this neon stripes. I'm also going to be using a contrast color in just Red Heart Super Saver black. But you don't have to do that. You can just use whatever colors you would like. I have already worked up my squares, so I'm just going to be doing a sample today. And then I will tell you how many rows you need to do. So you're going to need some worsted weight yarn, a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, your scissors, and your yarn needle as usual. So I'm just going to be using worsted weight yarn. This is called Minty. So you're just going to start with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3, and then in that first beginning chain we're going to put 2 more double crochets there. So just like that. You can just pull that tight. We're done with that. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And as usual, that chain 1 doesn't even exist. We're just going to ignore it. It's just to help us get a little bit higher so we can put our first double crochet into that first stitch. And then in the middle stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets, loosely chain 1, 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, loosely chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets. 1 and 2. And that is going to form our corner. And then in this last, it's going to be our chain 2 from the beginning, but in this last one we're just going to put 1 double crochet. So just like that. And that is what's going to form the square. So we're going to chain 1 again, and we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then in this chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets, loosely chain 1, and then 2 more double crochets. So in the chain 1 space, it's always going to be our corner stitches. And then in the next 3, we're going to put 1 double crochet in each. And you can already see our corner square forming. We started here and it gradually gets bigger as we go. So since I've already have a tutorial on this, I'm just going to show you this little bit for now, and then we're going to move on to the main project. So you're just going to keep doing that, repeating that over and over again. And in the next clip, I'll tell you how many rows you need to complete for the bag. Okay, so I have completed 15 rows. You could really just do however many rows that you want for your bag, to whatever size you want. But for mine, I did 15 rows, and you're going to need to do 2 of them. And we're just going to go ahead and once you've completed your 2 panels, then we're just going to go ahead and move on to the next part. So you need to figure out how you want your panels to be facing. You really need to find your right sides and have them out. So you can have them opposite of each other. So it doesn't matter. And keep in mind, I haven't blocked my squares yet either, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and have mine match, and then we'll move on to the next section, which is seaming up our bag. So we're just going to single crochet the 2 pieces together, and I'm just going to start right here at this beginning stitch, grabbing the top square and the bottom square in the same spot. And this is where I'm going to pull in my black yarn, because I want mine to be a little bit contrasting. And I have a lot of black in my variegated skein here. So we're just going to start with the slip knot, and I'm going to pull that slip knot through both sides. With a slip stitch, just to secure our yarn there. And then you really want to just pull that tight, as tight as you can get it. And then I'm going to work over my tails here, and I'm just going to put a single crochet evenly spaced as much as I can down the side, and then back up around and up the other side. So this is kind of the raw edge here, so you just kind of evenly space them. I like to have at least 1 single crochet per section, per double crochet, and then 1 at the join between rows, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to single crochet, and then I'm going to find my next spot and single crochet in it. And I'm working over my tails. I don't know if I said that already, but it's an easy way to hide all of the ends all at once. Okay, I'm to my corner stitch here, so I just wanted to show you real quick how we're going to do that, we're just going to put 3 single crochets into that corner. And I have a tail there, so I'm going to be working over that tail too. So just like that. And then you'll just move on down the other side and put, once you get to this corner, it'll be easier because you'll have your chain 1 spaces. And you'll just put 3 single crochets in that corner space and work up your other side, and then I will meet up with you when I have completed my entire section. Okay, so I finished seaming all of my panels together. I did not cut off my yarn because I want to put a single crochet edge around the top of our bag. So I'm still here at the corner, and I'm just going to literally start working a single crochet this way. So just gonna work my single crochet right there into this edge, and I'm going to go all the way around, and this is basically the same way that we just did the panels together. Basically doing the same thing, other than we're doing it around the top. Unfortunately, these are both raw edges, so it can be a little bit difficult to find where you want to place your stitch. So just, you know, put it where you think is best, as evenly as possible, because you don't want to add too many in one area or it'll start to ruffle. So when I get to my seam here, I'm just going to kind of go in right on this side of it, and then I'm going to jump right over to the other side of it. So it kind of just, we bypass the little seam section. We're not actually working into that seam section. Okay, so I'm back at my seam. I worked in the stitch right before the seam, and I'm just going to jump over and work in, or I'm just going to jump over and slip stitch into that beginning single crochet there, just to join that up. And then we can actually just cut our yarn here, because we're going to need to attach it in a different spot for our handle. So this is what your bag should look like so far. You can actually do more single crochets here if you want. I'm just going to do the one. I think my bag is plenty tall enough. So I'm going to work on the handle. I'm going to be doing a shorter handle, just simply because this is just a project bag that I can throw a skein of yarn in, or you know, just a small project, and take it to the pool with the kids or wherever I'm going. That way I don't have to carry around my big bags. But for me, I'm going to be making my handle just, I'm going to put it on the side and then crochet enough to go over and meet the other side, because I just want it long enough just to be able to go over my arm. And I really don't need it very wide. But you can obviously do your handles however you want. You can do it like that and make it a long handle if this is going to be a purse. You can do 2 shorter handles and put them on the front and then one on the back. You could just do however you want. The basics of making the handle is the same way. You would just change the positioning of where you want them. And of course, if you're going to make 2 handles, you would have to make, you know, two sections and do it identical on the other side. But for me, like I said, I'm just going to make one handle. It's going to start on this side section and meet over on the other section. So I'm going to go 2 stitches to this side before the seam. So here is my seam right up the center. So I'm going to go 1 and 2, and that's where I'm going to attach my yarn. And we're just going to attach it like before with a slip knot, and then I'm going to pull in the slip knot through and with a slip stitch, and then pull that slip stitch as tight as I can get it. And that just is attaching our yarn. So I'm going to go back into that stitch with a single crochet. I'm going to go into the next stitch with a single crochet, working over that tail as much as I can. And then I'm going to try and make a space directly through the center of that seam and single crochet into that. And then I'm going to go put 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches on the other side of the seam. That way it's evenly placed right across the center of the seam. So just like that, you have a total of 5 stitches, and you're going to keep that number throughout the entire handle. So I'm going to chain 1, and as usual, that chain 1 doesn't even exist. I'm going to flip my work, and I'm going to put 5 single crochets, or 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. Sorry. So 1 single crochet in each of the 5 stitches. So just like that. And then I'm just going to repeat that over and over again until my handle gets long enough to reach the other side, or however long that you want it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. I will do one more row with you. So chain 1, and then single crochet in each one of the stitches across for a total of 5. So just like that. So just repeat that for however long you want it. In the next clip, I will tell you how long my handle is to get to the other side. But like I said, however you're going to do your handles, you're just going to do it the same exact way that I did mine. I would choose at least 5 stitches because, you know, that gives you a decent size handle in width to be able, you know, to be substantial, to hold some weight. So go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and do my handle, and then I'll come back and tell you how long my handle is. Okay, so I finished my strap, and it's 14 inches long. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a longer tail so I can sew on my strap. And then you're going to need your yarn needle, and you want to make sure that your strap's not twisted in any way. And you're going to want to find the same 5 stitches that we chose before for the other side, because you want it to be symmetrical. You want it to be the same on both sides. So hopefully I can get this where you can see it. So here's my seam, which is right here. So I'm going to choose the 2 stitches on this side of it, and then the 2 stitches that are on that side of it. And my yarn is on this side, so I'm going to have to start seaming from this side. Hopefully you can see what I'm saying. So I'm going to start right here. Basically what I do is I just kind of flip it to where the two outside sections are meeting. And then I'm just going to seam it up. You want to be very careful that you do not get it twisted in any way, otherwise your handle will be all twisted up. And I'm just going to, do a whip stitch just to seam it real quick together. And I normally go twice into each stitch when I'm doing it this way. It just gives it a little more security. And then I like to go on the outside, the next stitch over, and just kind of catch the edge, the very edge of the strap, just to make sure that that edge is secure. Because sometimes the edge can poke out and look weird. And then you just want to flip it over and make sure it looks okay and that it's completely joined and that you don't have, like the edge sticking off or anything. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to tie a knot in this. Since we seamed it, you have to tie a knot in it. I know a lot of people don't like to tie knots. I am not one of those people. I am perfectly fine with tying knots into my work and then hiding the knots. I just, like my work to be nice and secure and not to ever come undone. So that's just how I am. So I've just tied a little knot in it, and then I'm just going to run my thread back over those, or back underneath those stitches that I just made to hide this yarn, which is going to pull that knot inside. And this may be a little difficult because they're kind of tight. There we go. And there's the knot, and see, as I pull it, it disappears. So never be afraid to tie knots into your work. As long as you know how to hide them well, it's perfectly fine. So that is your little bag. I think it's really cute. I've been really wanting to work with this yarn. I know it's dark, but I am a person. I do live in the real world, and I do have things that, I want to use in projects, not just for tutorials. I mean, I try to make all of my tutorials things that I can use in my real life. So this is a perfect little project bag that I can just, stuff a tiny little project in, like a hat or some gloves or fingerless gloves or, little things like that that really only require one skein, and I can take it with me wherever I need to go. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.